Hi everyone, my name is Aaron Cravens. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Revel Pharmaceuticals. My background is a PhD from Stanford University in bioengineering, followed by a few years in industry in the Bay Area at Google X and other startups. I now lead the team building the first platform to repair structural aging. What do I mean by structural aging? Well, as we age, damage accumulates in our bodies. This damage accumulates both in cells and outside of cells. While the majority of the longevity space is focused on cellular aging, trying to either keep cells young or kill off old cells, cells are actually only about 30% of the mass of our bodies. The other 70% is non-cellular. This 70% is the non-cellular structures like collagen, elastin, the extracellular matrix proteins that cells live within, and that give our bodies their structure. These non-cellular structural materials also undergo aging, and they age in the form of accumulation of glycation damage, oxidative damage, and buildup of crystals like uric acid crystals in gout and calcium crystals in cardiovascular disease. At Revel, we are focused on this non-cellular component of aging. How do we reverse crystals, reverse oxidative and glycation damage in order to restore structure of tissues to a more youthful and healthy state? The advantage to doing this is our targets are very clearly defined, and removal is easily measured. This enables rapid preclinical and clinical validation down the road. One of the first programs we're focused on, and I want to share briefly today, is our work on curing severe gout. So gout is a crystal disease. In gout, high levels of uric acid in the blood precipitate out into your joints, causing painful crystals that are inflammatory and also physically damage the joint tissue. In very severe gout, patients go on a drug called Krystexxa. Krystexxa is an enzyme that basically dissolves the crystals. It's a biweekly IV-infused drug. It has a very poor patient profile. It's a high burden on patients in order to receive this therapy. And so as a result, it only treats about 5,000 patients a year of the approximately 50 or 100,000 patients that could be eligible. Despite this, it's still a billion-dollar drug. It sells over 1.2 billion a year currently. Now, what we're doing at Revel is developing a curative treatment for severe gout that would truly be transformative for patients. Our solution to doing this is to develop a liver-directed gene therapy that basically turns liver cells into biofactories for secreting the therapeutic enzyme, effectively Krystexxa that's been re-engineered for stability and activity in this format. This is a huge market opportunity. We think we could treat 10 times more patients, and it allows us to prove out our platform in a crystal disorder that has an established mechanism of action and established market already. So we view this as a relatively low risk on the clinical side. The reason why no one has done this before is there's a significant challenge to treating patients with a one-and-done cure for severe gout. The natural uricases, or Krystexxa-like molecules, are limited by folding and immunogenicity problems. We've overcome this challenge with a proprietary variant discovery selection and screening platform. We employ basically a device that allows us to assess millions of protein variants simultaneously in order to sort through optimized enzymes that can enable a stabilized, immune-optimized, and secretion-optimized protein. We've established a very compelling proof of concept in this application for gout, and that is rapidly normalizing the serum uric acid levels in mice. So serum uric acid is the biomarker that's used in gout. You want your serum uric acid to be as low as possible. The graph I'm showing here on the left is the serum uric acid of a gout model of mice. The mice that are untreated with the black curve have high serum uric acid that's causing damage. They have gout. These mice do not live that long. Following a one-time treatment of our AAV gene therapy drug, we show that we can bring down serum uric acid to below clinically measurable levels and basically cure these animals with just one dose. This is a powerful proof of concept for what we're doing, and we believe we can rapidly prosecute this program towards IND. In the second quarter of 2026, we're looking at nominating a development candidate molecule. In the third quarter, we're preparing for our IND meeting with the FDA. And by middle of 2027, we intend to submit an IND along with preparation for first-in-human studies in severe refractory gout. While gout is our first low-risk target, we are really excited about scaling this platform from gout to systemic repair. We have many other targets that in the structural aging space are very important. Glycation changes, oxidative changes, things that we would like to reverse. A few of these I've shown here with the various drivers associated. We're currently working on advanced glycation end product reversal with a first indication in the diabetic retinopathy space. That program, we have some really exciting human tissue data where we've taken 70-year-old tissue from cadavers and shown we can reverse the levels of glycation damage back to that of a 40-year-old. That work was done in collaboration with a leading pharmaceutical company in the space. So we have some really compelling programs that we're working to prosecute. And it's quite an exciting time at the company. To date, we've raised a little over $16 million from investors and non-dilutive NIH grants, and we're just finishing up a bridge round to get us to the IND filing. With that, we're Revel Pharmaceuticals, and we are repairing damage that aging leaves behind. Thanks for your attention, and look forward to answering questions.
Nice. Thanks, Aaron, for that overview. Pretty interesting. Yeah, maybe I can just briefly talk about what we like about Revel. So I've been fortunate to work on AGEs during my tenure at the Buck Institute, and I think like AGEs are one of the fundamental drivers of aging, even though they are very overlooked. There are very few companies, to our knowledge, which have been seriously tackling AGEs. So that's pretty interesting that you are developing, you're doing something in this field. Very interesting. And for the gout program, it's very interesting. It's a hugely unmet need. There is a huge pharma interest. And for our audience who may be familiar, there have been recent deals in this space, which involves one of the Swedish biopharma company acquiring Arthrosi for $950 million, and Novo Nordisk doing a Series A investments in a gout program. So very exciting in all this space. Maybe I would like to hear from you a little bit more in terms of like how does the clinical trial of gout looks like? It's a very straightforward trial, which is something excites us as far as very early in the phase 1. You can get the indication signal, and sometime directly you can jump from phase 1 to phase 3 if the efficacy is pretty strong. If you can elaborate a bit more on that.
Yeah, that is something that's super exciting about gout and unique to gout. In the phase 1b studies, we can see the biomarker, right, is serum uric acid. As in the mice, within a few weeks, you have a very clear efficacy response as to whether there is a lowering effect with your drug. And the nice thing about gout is we all have actually high levels of serum uric acid. So with either healthy volunteers or patients, you can see a response. For AAV therapy, likely it will be with patients, right? But the response can come quickly, and you can see that, which is not the case, right, in many other indication areas. And as you mentioned, the gout space has become it's very exciting. There's a lot of investment going in. Some recent acquisitions have occurred for small molecule oral drugs, and we're quite excited about that as a opportunity.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also maybe like broadly, like serum uric acid levels have been tied up with all-cause mortality. I think that is a very interesting point to note because it just expands us beyond the gout. And I don't know, what do you think about that?
Yes, so high levels of serum uric acid are correlated with mortality. So there is part of our interest in gout as a crystal disease is this link to longevity, right? Same with calcium crystals. You get various forms of crystals and amyloids, and it's part of the pathological change and accumulation that builds up as we age. And the biomarker, lowering it as a biomarker too has longevity potential, even separate from just having gout. So I think that's an interesting expansion application.
Yeah. I see we have a question. I don't know if we have time for that, but a very quick question. Yeah, so we have a question from Ashish. He's asking, are you also working on other delivery mechanisms other than AAV?
We're discussing with another company on alternatives to AAV. We're not totally committed to AAV. The thing we like about it is there are some clinically approved vectors that are fully de-risked in human, and we know the liver targeting profile. They're very inexpensive to manufacture at low dose. AAV does have a reputation as being very expensive, but if the doses are lower, it's actually much less expensive. So we do have other things in the works beyond AAV, but right now that's the head of the pack.